Okay, so welcome everybody to your Sunday night little yoga retreat special. We're going to be really getting into the body this evening and just seeing how we feel after our weeks off for the summer holidays. So we're going to start in a seated position, so grab yourself a pillow. If you've got some nice music to play, press play on your phone. It's lovely to have something in the background. I've got some candles lit here tonight, so I've got a lovely smell coming around my room. So just make sure you've created the space that you want to practice in and make that your little sacred space. And as you come into easy pose, we're just going to start with one hand on the heart and the other hand on the solar plexus, so just where your rib cage is and the top of the tummy. And just start to relax your shoulders, drawing the chin down, eyes closed, and having that sense of leaning back against the imaginary wall. And just take a lovely big deep breath into your whole body. And a big sigh. And do that 2 or 3 times. Just be really comfortable in your base. If you need to adjust your legs at any point, feel free to. And then at the end of the third breath, just allow the breath to come and go in its own natural rhythm. Just softly breathing into the tummy, letting your tummy completely relax. Softly breathing into the rib cage. Just having a sense of the rib cage expanding out 360 degrees. And then that little bit of breath just reaching kind of the top of the lungs, just feeling the heart lift and the collarbones broaden. We're going to keep the breath quite soft and fairly quiet here, but just notice where it goes inside your body. And as you exhale, start to feel your weight pouring down into your sit bones, relaxing your thighs all the way down to the tips of the toes, and just feeling the ground coming up to meet you, feeling your contact with the earth. And take another little breath in, little breath out. And then with the head bowed and the eyes closed, just consciously relax every muscle in the face. So soften around the eyes, relax the jaw. Maybe let the head just feel a little bit heavy. Relaxing the shoulders and the arms. And then focusing in on the palms of the hands. Just having that sense of protecting the heart, protecting the solar plexus. Feeling maybe warmth or tingles. And just stay focused on that sensation that you can feel in and around the palms of the hands. Be very calming to have the hands in this position. Very nurturing. Sometimes after a busy day or a stressful day, when I go to bed, I just lie in bed and just put my hands here and here as I close my eyes and just relax my body and just tune into that heat and that sensation for a few minutes. It's very comforting. And now take a big deep breath into the whole of your body. And a big sigh out. I'm going to gently open the eyes, bring the palms together and just give them a little vigorous rub. Just get a bit of heat into the hands. And then placing the hands down on the knees. Just going to start with a little bit of cat-cow in seated. So just curling yourself up. And then rolling the shoulders back, lifting up through the heart and opening from the chin all the way down that centre line to the pubic bone, squeezing the shoulder blades down and back. And then in your own time, with your own breath, curling up one way, tailbone under, chin down, rounding the back, and then opening the front of the body. So there's no rushing here. Just go at your own pace. You can either move with the breath, so you can inhale, open the front of the body, exhale, curl up. Or you might want to take it a little bit more slowly, and just when you inhale, open the front of the body, just take 2 or 3 breaths here, feeling expanse in the front of the body and a kind of compression along the vertebrae. And after 2 or 3 breaths, swap it around, curling up into that little ball, feeling the squish and the compression now in the front of the body, and feeling the back of the spine opening up. And take 2 or 3 breaths there. So have perhaps a little play with each of those options. Good. Just taking one more set wherever you are, and knowing that moving the spine in different directions is really energizing for us. It's really nourishing. Healthy spine is a healthy body. And then coming up into just your seated position, shoulders down, just take one ear to one shoulder. Maybe place an arm on the head just to get a little bit of an extra stretch. Dropping the other shoulder as far away from you as you can. And then changing sides. Relaxing the head all the way over. Dropping that shoulder down away from the ear. And gently release. A couple of little shoulder circles here. And then just a little bit of circles through the body. Just feeling a bit more rooted down into the earth. Soft tummy, just nice soft breaths into the belly. And if you want to find a bit of pelvic floor core strength, we're just going to blow out through a little hole in the lips. As if you're blowing out 100 candles. And as you do that long exhale, maybe just feeling the pelvic floor, your Mula Bandha lightly gathering kind of in and up into the body. And maybe just connecting in with that lower belly. Just feeling that deep core drawing in towards the spine. So with every exhale, you've always got that option open to you as well. Just blowing out 100 candles. Then we're going to pause and go the other way. Deep breath in. Long exhale out. Connecting into the pelvic floor. Connecting into the deep core. Maybe feeling a little bit taller out through the crown of the head. Good. And then coming back to center, let's take those legs out in front of us. Just going to scooch back a little bit. Opening up the legs a little bit wider, just a few circles, just to gently wake up those extremities. Just think about stretching the fingers and the toes, and then bringing the arms over the head. Getting the whole leg involved now, from hip to toe. Deep breath in. And blowing out 100 candles. Circling the other way. One more breath. Good. Now opening the legs a little bit wider, kicking out through the heels. Just have a little wiggle from side to side so that you're trying to sit on the front part of your sitting bones, sticking your tailbone out behind you. Toes back towards your face. Take opposite hand, reach towards the foot. So it might be the shin, it might be the toe, or you might get the outside edge of the foot. And then changing sides. I'm just going to take this movement a little bit fluidly. Just easing into it. And as you lean over with the opposite hand, you're taking that hand all the way back behind you. So your arms are kind of circling around the body. That's it, well done. Brilliant, you've all got that. Keep spreading your little toe away from the big as you kick out through the heel. And then pause on one side and just take a moment there. As you breathe in, lengthen the spine. As you breathe out, see if you can drop down towards the thigh. Good, so just feeling that stretch, that spaciousness through the back of the leg. And then the other side. Deep breath in, lengthen the spine. Deep breath out, settle, heart to the thigh. Good, coming back to center, see if you can take each hand down towards the big toes, if you can get the grip. Maybe roll the feet in towards the center, lift the heart forward and exhale, just encourage your body towards the floor. It doesn't matter how far you come down, but just lean into it, rest into it, and have a moment of kind of sort of giving up, just letting it all go, surrendering to your forward bend. Inhale, lengthening along that front of your body, pubic bone to chin. Exhale, heart just coming towards the floor. Good. Gently just using that feedback from the hands on the toes. Not that you're pulling yourself forward, but there's a nice connection there that you can lean into and use that feedback to come in a little bit deeper. Okay, lovely. Now coming out from here, we're going to come into 90-90. So bending one knee and then the other behind you. So we've got a kind of wide mermaid pose, both knees at 90 degrees. Turn over the front knee, place your hands on the floor, one either side of your foot and knee, and then start to lean down over that front knee. Maybe the head will touch the floor. So you're going to look for a nice little bit of a stretch in the glute on that side around the sit bone. Just take a few breaths here as you settle down towards the ground. Breathing into that stretch, breathing into that sensation. If we haven't done much yoga throughout the summer, this might feel a little bit tighter than normal from all of our kind of sitting in sun lounges. And then we're going to kind of scan up and down the legs. So take your head towards the toes and then back to the knee. So we're just going to go for a little movement, just up and down the shin. Keep flexing your toes back to the knee. Take another breath here. Keep breathing. And then come up to center. Now engage your core. See if you can roll on your heels and come all the way round. That's it, well done. 90-90 with the legs. Kick out through the heels, toes back towards your face, hands down into position. Lean over that knee first of all, forehead to the floor. Try and lengthen your spine forward, so we're really long and flat. Tummy's pressing on the thigh. Shoulders down away from the ears. And just feel that contact you're making with the ground. Palms, edges of the leg, the back foot, the back knee, the forehead. Resting down, breathing into the glute. And then when you're ready, scanning down to the toes and back to the knee. Just gliding along the shin. Staying as low to the ground as you can. And then when you come up, just make sure you've got enough room. We're just going to do that little move from side to side. So keeping the feet where they are, trying to just use our core with the hands in prayer as we roll one way and then the other. Just seeing how that feels through the thighs, through the hips. If you need a bit of extra core, blow out your 100 candles. You might find you go for a little walk off the mat here. That's fine. Well done. And then coming back to center. Okay, so we're going to spin ourselves around now and come up into all fours. And when you get there, just do your favorite version of cat-cow. So it might be that you do it with the breath, inhaling, opening the front body again, exhaling, rounding up to the ceiling. It can feel really nice to do 2 or 3 of those. And then again, it might also be nice just to hang out in one part of the pose and take a few breaths there, exploring that spaciousness from chin to pubic bone, exploring the compression through the vertebrae, feeling almost a squeeze and a strengthening through the spine here as we squeeze the back body together. And then taking that the other way, rounding. Now it's lovely to blow out your 100 candle breath here, feeling the pelvic floor and your tummy drawing in and up to support your forward bend. It can feel really lovely to breathe in to the back of the body. So breathing into the sacrum, the back of the waist, the back of the ribs, and then blowing out your candle breath. So try both again. Try inhaling, exhaling with the movement, doing it quite fast. And then try have a little explore at hanging out at each end of the movement and taking a couple of breaths and just seeing, exploring what feels good for you today. That's it, well done. Just taking your time, remembering the ground is just there, so leaning into it. Good, and then we're going to do a little side bend, so just taking your hands all the way around, so they're 90 degrees to the legs, to your knees, and keep the chin in as you look directly at the floor in between your thumbs, and you're squeezing now that side of your body that you're leaning into. So for me, it's my left waist is getting squished, but the right side from shoulder to hip is really open. So breathing into that little side bend, making space all down the right side of the body, squeezing the left side together. And then in your own time, coming back to center and taking the hands 90 degrees round to the other way, squeezing the opposite side, making space on the other side. And just taking a couple of breaths there. I'll just check everybody's still doing it. Brilliant, really good. Good, now coming back to center, I'm going to spread the hands really wide, press into the fingertips, little bend in the elbows, toes are tucked under. We're just going to come up and find our first version of downward dog. Feet hip distance apart, heels really high. I'm just going to do a little bit of walking the dog. So just stretching into one heel, dropping the heel to the floor, opening up through the calf. Think about tilting the tail up to the ceiling. That's a really, really helpful thing to do. Just gives your back a little bit more length. So just see how that feels to stretch it out, walk it out. Good, and then from here, just take your shoulders forward and find yourself in plank. So kicking out through the heel. Think about zipping up through that center line now. So blowing out your 100 candles, finding your deep core, shoulders down away from the ears. Taking a moment just to feel heat and strength. And because it's our first class back, we're just going to drop onto the knees and then take your shoulders another kind of 6 inches forwards, bend the elbows into the ribs and slowly lower the torso down to the floor. Press the tops of the feet into the ground, lift up the knees, and then just peel the chest up, coming into your baby cobra. So your hands could lift and hover off the floor. They're just lightly resting, we're not really using them, but we're bringing the heart forward, shoulders down and back, and we're leaning into the lower belly, into the pubic bone, into the hips. As we press into the tops of the feet, we're just pressing into the hips, and then gently bring your head down. Tuck the toes under, press your hips, heart and chest, head all back up. So we're back on the knees, and then lift up the knees so you're back into your plank. Good. Take another breath here. Feeling strong once more, and then bend the knees and scoot yourself back up into your downward dog. This time pressing into the hands to lift your bottom up high. Drop into both heels as best as you can. Now don't worry if they don't touch the floor. Just enjoy that kind of lovely A-frame that you're making with your body. Letting a bit of blood come into the head and the heart rest. Good, and then from where you are, without moving your feet, well, keep your feet where they are, but then lift your right leg up to the ceiling. So you're just in a really clear 3-pointed dog. That's it. Now take the right knee and place it on the mat somewhere right in the middle. So it's it's a bit over, it's in the center line, and just let the foot come down onto the floor. Place your left foot on the floor and just turn to the side straight away. So we're coming into a little side angled position. Beautiful. Reaching out on the diagonal. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I'm going to just turn the head and look up towards the ceiling. Maybe blowing out your candles or doing your S breath. So if you need a little bit more welly to get into the core. And then just let the head drop and the arm drop. So we're coming more into like a rainbow shape, and lift up the hips towards the sky. So same position, but just lowering the arm towards the ground. That's it, you've got it. So press the outside edge of that back foot onto the floor. So you're lifting up through the arch. Take one more breath here, and then bring the arm back up to the sky. Take the arm back behind you, so you're opening up through the chest. That's it. And then we're going to bring the hand back down to the floor. Really well done. So when you're there, we're going to pop back up into downward dog. Press into the hands, lift up your bottom, lean into the heels, take a breather. And then lifting the left leg up to the sky. So be careful you haven't rotated the hips open. Keep the front of your hips pointing forward still. I'm going to lift that leg up as high as we can. Lean into the opposite heel. So the right heel's coming down to the floor. I'm going to hold it for 3, for 2, for 1. Then bring your left knee into the very center of your mat. Placing the right foot on the floor, we're just turning to the right side of our mats and bringing the arm up and over. So just finding our lovely little diagonal line from the hand to the outside edge of the foot as you roll the foot away from you, lifting up through the arch, and then breathing here in and blowing out. 100 candles or your S breath, just to find a bit of core support. Now dropping the head, bring the arm down towards the top of the mat so you can lift the waist and hips up to the ceiling, just finding that extra bit of spaciousness. Trying to look up towards the ceiling with your eyes, so you're looking under the arm. And then bring the arm all the way back up towards the sky, and then drop it behind you, so you get the pecs across the front of the chest opening. So just reach with the arm behind you. Take another breath, and then bring the hand all the way back down to the ground. Well done. Now let's just open the knees wide, settle the bottom down, and find your version of child's pose. So either arms long or arms back behind you. But we're going to do it with the knees wide, so we can wiggle from left to right and just get deep into those hip sockets. Just a little bit of leaning into the right leg, leaning into the left leg. Again, that feel of sending your tailbone up towards the sky so that you can then lengthen and flatten your spine forward. And then become very still here for a moment. Resting the forehead completely on the ground. And take a few quiet sighs here, just relaxing. Little soft breath into the belly. Letting the lower belly expand. And then another sigh. And if you feel like you want to keep working the core, you can do your blowing out the 100 candle breath or the S breath, just to find your Mula Bandha, lightly finding the pelvic floor drawing in and up, the lower belly drawing in, but it's subtle, 2 or 3 out of 10 in strength, so it's not much, it's just subtle. And then just resting, just taking a moment here. Good. Now inhaling, we're going to come back up onto the hands, up into downward dog. And then this time we're going to walk the feet towards the hands. Make sure they're about hip distance apart and they're going straight forward. We're just going to take the 2 peace fingers around the big toes. So like we did with our wide leg, we've got that feedback now from the toes. And then just start to lengthen the spine And then lower the head and the heart towards the floor. So elbows bend out to the sides. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Resting your chest on the thighs is a really good thing to do. And again, tilting the tailbone up towards the sky. Start to use that feedback with the thumbs around the big toes to draw yourself a bit lower towards the floor. Maybe close the eyes here so you can explore the depth of your forward bend without any attachment to an end point. Try and avoid pushing or pulling. Just think about settling in, sinking into, releasing. And just coming a little bit lower with every exhalation. And then inhaling, placing your hands on your shins, start to lengthen your body up so you become parallel to the floor, pressing your shins away with the tips of your fingers, shoulders down and back. Lift the shoulders kind of up towards the ceiling and peel your heart forward so you get really long and flat through the spine. Chin in. Take a deep breath here. So spread your toes, press into the heels, activate the back of the legs. Imagine someone stood behind you and they're pulling your hips back as well so that your body can shoot forward. Then take another breath. And then bending the knees, let's just soften and roll down into more of a ragdoll. So holding opposite elbows, feeling your big toes on the ground, feeling your little toes wide, and just leaning into the toes as you relax through the whole body. So it can be useful to find your pelvic floor and core here. It's another forward bend. So a little bit of Mula Bandha engagement is really good to protect your back. And then just release through the shoulders, release through the spine. So we're just going to gently kind of sway, kind of up and down first of all. So lengthen a bit lower. And then just gently from side to side, just from one foot to the other. So we're not going to twist the torso, we're just leaning from one foot into the other. That's it. And then release the hands so they flop onto the floor. I'm going to bring the weight into the heels and then blow out your 100 candle breath. Find your pelvic floor and your tummy respond. Keep the knees bent and don't move the legs. Keep the knees exactly where they are. Keep blowing as you slowly roll about halfway up. When you run out of breath, pause. Take an inhale. Engage through your core once more. Start blowing the breath away and slowly roll all the way up. When you get to the top, you're going to want to roll those shoulders, opening up the chest and allowing every vertebrae to stack and the head to come back onto the top. Good, we're going to roll back down and we're going to come back up again. So nice and slowly, starting with the crown of the head, chin to the chest, bend the knees, and then just allow the weight of the head, like a giant bowling ball, to just round you down. Keep blowing out your 100 candle breath. Pause when you need to inhale, about halfway down. Exhale, blow again. Engage your core and come down as low as you can towards the floor, tummy resting on the thighs. And just let your head have a complete release here. Just give the head a little nod from side to side, letting anything go in the neck and the shoulders. So properly like a rag doll. Good, take another big breath in and out. On your next exhale, weight back into the heels. Exhale as you slowly engage through your core and come halfway up. Pause on your inhale. Exhale, blow again. And keep rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae until you get all the way to the top. And then let's go ahead and just roll open those shoulders. Fab. So I'm just going to adjust my camera because I'm chopping my head off and it looks a little bit weird. Okay, so we come up into standing, feet hip distance apart. Let's just roll those shoulders down and back and then take the palms out slightly. So we're going to just work on the feet. So leaning into one foot, pick up the other foot, but just leave the big toe on the floor. Spread out to the little toe and then run the outside edge of that foot down. So you then plant the heel and just have a sense of lifting up through the arch of that foot. You could also lift the 3 toes in the middle up as you're pressing the 2 outside ones down. So see if you can just play with lifting those 3 middle toes up and then letting them lightly rest. Now take your weight across into that 3 pointed support, big toe, little toe, heel. Little bend in the knees, and we're going to find that on the other foot. So find the big toe, spread out to the little toe. Outside edge of the foot runs straight down onto the floor, into the heel, and then see if you can lift up those 3 toes, feeling the inner arch lifting, and then gently let the toes soften to the ground. So your toes should feel long and not be gripping. And with this little bend in the knees and your feet active in these little tripods, we're going to start to imagine that we can draw or suck energy up through our feet up into the body. So with the hands facing forward, let's just close the eyes here, keeping a little softness in the knees to keep the lower back a bit released. Imagine you're leaning back against a wall, and through those little suction pads that you've just made in your feet, just feel your feet as wide and as big and as long on the mat. And through the little bend in the knees, feeling really planted down, and then start to imagine that you can draw up some lovely, sparkly, white energy up through the legs, all the way up through the legs, and it comes all the way up to the heart, up to the crown of the head, and then imagine it waterfalls out around you from the crown of the head, so like you're a fountain. And then we're going to inhale, draw that all the way up through the center body, from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head, and then exhale, let that fountain all around you. So it comes down the front of the body, it comes down the back of the body, it comes down the sides. And then with the fingers, just lengthening them away from you, imagine those little sparks of energy coming out of your fingertips, reaching as far away from you and rooting you into the ground. And then inhale all the way up through that center line. Out through the crown of the head, lovely open crown of the head, waterfall it. Exhale, it's a Taurus breath, and do that one more time. Good. Now staying with this idea of energy moving through the body, just lean your way into your right foot. Take your left foot all the way behind you so that you're on the top of the foot. So we're in the kind of, we're about to do a curtsy position. Then take your left arm all the way up and come into a little side bend. So my arm's coming up over the head, and then just breathe into that shape that you've made. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Take the arm back down, release the foot, take the other foot behind you. So the top of the foot's on the floor, and as if we're about to come into a little curtsy, and then take your right arm up and over and come into a little side bend. So reaching out with your fingertips, little bend in that front leg, pressing into the tops of the foot on the back toes. See if you can feel that line of energy coming from the back toes all the way up the front of the body and out to those fingertips. Good, and then come back up to center. Roll your shoulders here. Stepping once more into your right foot. Lift your left leg up. Good, and then bring your hands up and onto the shoulders. And then gently start to turn to your right side, and then drop your hands back down. So this time you can hold onto the front knee. And we're going to just look behind us, keeping your foot flexed, finding a point to concentrate on, and just strengthening that standing leg, keeping the knee a little bit bent, but hugging the muscles to the bone as you find a little bit more depth to your twist. Take one more breath here, and then take the front leg with that front hand, take it all the way out to the side. Good, so your right arm is now pointing out to the opposite side, your toes are flexed, and then if you can, just turn your head and look beyond your thumb. Drop the shoulders, take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. Good, we're going to bring that leg back to center. We're going to swap the arms around. So now I'm going to press the outside edge of that hand against the knee. I'm going to press the knee against the hand and take the other arm back behind you. So just finding a point where you can balance, enjoying that twist, breathing in and breathing out. And again, not pulling, but just softening into it. And then gently come back to center. Let's march that out nice and fluidly. Feel how that foot we've been standing on probably feels a bit tired, so we'll give it a bit of attention in a minute. And then big toe, little toe, heel into the left foot. Bend the knee so the hips are square. Gently start to bring your other leg up. Good. And then hands onto the shoulders. Inhale, exhale, turn. And bring one hand down onto the knee and the other arm behind you as best as you can. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Keep the foot flexed and taking that front knee and that front arm all the way out to the side, nice and slowly. So we want to keep the knee level with the hip. So if it's shot up, just drop it down and we've got that 90-degree going on again. And then looking out towards your left thumb, shoulders down. Think about that center line of the body feeling stable and strong from that line of energy coming up from the floor like a plumb line all the way up the front of the spine. And then bring that leg back in. Swap that hands around. So I'm going to press my knee with my opposite hand and press the knee back and take your right arm now all the way back behind you. Just find a point where you can balance. And if you feel wobbly, just trust the outside edge of that standing foot a bit more. The inside edge will send you into a little wobble, but the outside edge will give you some more stability. Use your 100 breath, blowing out the candle to get a bit of core support, and then gently come back to center. And we'll walk that out. Well done. Good, now we're going to go for a little bit of width. So taking a lovely big wide stride. Let's bring the toes in and the heels out and then roll on your feet. So you're more on the outside edges of the feet, the long edge. Now the hands on the hips, then we're going to open the chest. Just feeling a little bit of space as we lift up through the whole front of the body. And a little bend in the knees as you exhale, kind of swan dive, leading with the heart. Coming all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. And once more, either getting hold of the outside edges of your heels and ankles, or the big toes. Just bend your elbows out to the side at 90 degrees. Close your eyes, weight into the toes, and just start to sink yourself down towards the ground. So a little bit of a bend in the knees can help. And then when you feel quite low to the ground, you can work on straightening your legs more. As you bend your elbows up and out to the side and lengthen your spine. Feeling that feedback from the hands in contact with the foot. Blowing out your candle breath. Exhaling, sinking a little bit lower to the ground. And then inhaling, let's place the fingertips on the floor. You might be able to go a little bit wider with your feet. Ideally, we want our spines to be completely flat to the floor. So if your head's really down, you might need to come up a little bit. And then place one hand on the floor in front of your face. We're going to bring the other hand up towards the ceiling. And just breathing in and out there. If it's too much, you can drop that hand to the sacrum and just find a slightly gentler twist through the shoulders. But if the shoulder doesn't feel jammed, doesn't feel constricted, you can go for a lovely big opening across the heart, hand straight to the sky. And then we're going to slowly bring that hand down to the center, pressing it into the floor. And then when you're ready, lengthen the spine forward as you explore your twist. Keep rolling your feet out to the outside edges of your feet. And if it's too much, place the hand on the sacrum instead. It can be nice feedback as well with the hand on the sacrum because you can really get a sense of the flatness of your back, and then you can work towards lengthening your spine, which will help the shoulders come round a little bit more. So just exploring, no pulling, no pushing, just doing what feels comfortable for you today, taking one more breath, and then we're going to bring the hand back down. And then this time, Keep rolling to the outside edges of those feet, but we're going to walk the hands forward, maybe about a foot, and then dropping into a kind of downward dog position from the hands up to the hips. So you've got a lovely, lovely long flat back, but the legs are nice and wide, and you're just feeling this through the base, leaning into the hands and the feet, and then breathing into your whole body. See what happens at the end of the exhalation. Does your spine lengthen? Just notice what you notice. Good, really well done. And then walking yourselves back in, walking yourselves back up. And bring the hands in prayer. And then we're going to bend one knee and come into a kind of Russian squat. So just coming down nice and low, and then coming back up, and then bending the other knee. So I'm just bending my knee straight out over my toes and leaning as far across as I can, and then coming back up, and then coming down to the other side. So you might find you want to turn your foot out, the side that you're working on. Might just feel more comfortable in your hips to have that foot out ever so slightly. So you can adjust it. But if you can keep your feet forwards, then that would be the ideal, but no hard and fast rules. Good. I'm going to do a couple more. And then this time, on this side, we're going to bring the hands to the floor, and on the other foot, flip up onto the heel. So you've got that heel on the floor, toes up, and now I'm balancing more on this front leg. And see if you can just take a little balance, bringing the hands to the heart. You might wobble, use your core, holding it for 3, for 2, for 1. And then we'll just place the hands to the floor. We'll come up, we'll come down on the other side, and then lifting the other toes up. Good. And finding the heart, blowing out the candles, sitting up a little bit taller. Whoops, finding your balance. Looking at one point, doing great, you guys. Maybe one side might be a little bit harder, a little bit easier than the other. And then gently coming back up, going to bend the knees and come all the way up. Walking those legs together. Let's bring the feet together, heels just an inch apart, toes touching, and then just squeeze the legs together, squeeze the arms to the side, and just hug yourself back into that center line. Take a breath in, take a breath out, and then relax. And then just have the feet just ever so slightly apart and just come up onto the toes. We're just going to do a couple of little raises. Coming up onto the toes. And then on the third one, just stay there and bend the knees a little bit. Good. And then let's march that out. Well done. Okay. Coming back towards the top of the mat, inhale, bring both arms up over the head. Exhale, just roll yourself all the way down, bending the knees, coming into your little rag doll. And then placing your hands on the floor, step yourselves back out into your plank, pressing back into your plank and stretching out through the heels. Inhaling and exhaling there. Little press up into your downward dog. Dropping into the heels here. Good. Right knee into the floor, center of the mat. Left foot down. Turn to the side once more. Come all the way around into your little rainbow pose. And then come back to center. Come back up into your downward dog. Left knee down into the center, right foot on the floor. Bring it all the way around the other way. Good. Then finally, last time back in dog, then coming down into child's pose. You're going to just lengthen the spine forward. And then take your hands all the way to the left, placing your right hand on top of the left to interlace the fingers. And just coming into this little side bend here as you squash the left side of your body a little bit on the thigh. Take a breath in and out. Good, and then coming all the way back to center, let's go to the opposite side, taking the hand across. In and out with the breath. Lovely. Well done. And then we're going to roll ourselves back up into a seated pose. I'm going to bring the legs out in front of us. And then as you have the legs out in front of you, just bend the knees and wiggle a little bit so you can sit more on the front of the sit bones. Gently inhale and lift your arms up, and exhale, just flop and lengthen yourself forward. Hands on the outside edges of your feet here, so you keep your feet really straight as if you've got your feet on the wall in front of you. And then shoulders down and back, lengthen the spine up, and then exhale, coming down as low as you can over the legs. Really important that you get that contact with the chest onto the thighs, and you've got that feedback with your fingers on your feet, so you can take your shoulders down away from the ears and lengthen your spine. And then when you feel that you can settle, you might be able to just straighten the legs a little bit away from you. Another nice one, just to close your eyes and think of surrender. Think of letting go, release. If there's any struggle in this one, where can you soften? Can you invite in some change, some melting into the mat? Gently rolling yourself up. Take your right leg and bend the knee. And we're going to take the foot and lift it up and over. So it's on the outside edge of your left knee. And then sitting up really tall, kind of draw yourself close into that right thigh. You can either take your left arm and just hook it around the knee to keep pulling the knee into the center line, and your arm can rest along the thigh. Or if you've got a bit more flexibility, you can take the elbow up and in and have the hand up like a little flag, but you're still pushing the knee away from you. And then take your right arm all the way out. We're going to press it down into the ground and look out over our shoulder. So again, where can you soften? Can you soften the shoulders down and back? Can you press down into the sit bones? Into the foot that's on the floor, into the hand. And then just keep looking out the corner of your eyes as you breathe in and out. If this one's easy for you, you can also go for the bind. You can tuck that arm in between the little triangle you've made in your thighs and bring the other arm behind you. You've got a few options there. You're going to just take another breath or two and then gently start to unravel. So we'll bend the other leg in. Take the foot across so it's on the outside edge of your right knee. Draw the knee over and then hook it with the right elbow. So this can be a really comfortable version. Hand down behind you, looking out over the shoulder. So if you want a little bit more, take the arm up and get the elbow against the knee. So you've got really good contact there. And the third option would be to take the hand through that little triangle you've made and bring the other arm back for the bind. But if that compromises you in terms of how well you're sitting up through your spine, undo the bind and just sit up straight and look out over your shoulder. Don't let your lovely lengthy spine get compromised for the bind. We'll take one more breath here. And then gently, as we come back to center, just sit up nice and tall. See how that feels through your base. I'm going to bring 2 hands onto the floor, leaning into the hands. Let's just close the eyes here and soften through the body. Imagine that white, sparkly energy can come up from the earth, through the hands, to the shoulders, to the head, to the heart, down the body, around the legs. Like your little closed circuit of energy. You can feel that moving through you. And then have the little sense of just leaning into those hands and pouring out through the hands any stresses, any worries, any insecurities, any conflicts, any dramas, whatever the narrative or the story's been. Just let yourself pour away the feelings, the emotions that might be more challenging or a bit sticky, that you might have ruminated on. Can we lighten the load and just give all of that back to the earth, back to Mother Earth, to soak up and hold for us so we can move forward clearly without distraction. Good. And then when you're ready, let's find our way into a Shavasana pose. So we're going to have a few options with this evening. If you've got something that can work as a bolster, maybe a couple of pillows, you might want to just put that underneath your knees so that you can have the feet touching, the knees a little bit wider. And then if you've got a blanket handy, we're going to look at opening it up. So you've got a really nice long blanket. And then popping that long edge over your shoulders. We're going to have the arms up high. So you've made like a little tent. And then take one hand and then on this side, just tuck the blanket under your armpit. So as the arm comes down, it traps the blanket. I'll show you this from the front. So I look like a ghost. I'm going to take one arm and just trap the blanket underneath, and then with the other arm I can just trap the blanket underneath, and then I'm in it like a little burrito. I feel all contained, which is a really great way to take our Shavasana because it just gives us a layer of support. And then if you come down onto the floor, if you needed a pillow, make sure you've popped it there beforehand because your arms are going to be a bit trapped, but then you can just rest your hands on your lower tummy. And just make sure you have got support for your head. So your head, your neck is really comfy and your chin's not jutting up in the sky. You want the chin in a few degrees. And if for anybody that's too hot, but you like the idea of a bit of comfort with the blanket, just chuck in one more option that you could just have it folded in half, keep it long, and just wrap up your feet. So just tuck them in so that your feet feel really held and snug and supported. So those are a couple of nice options. Making sure that your music's playing and you're nice and warm and cozy, and that you're in a position where you can completely rest. We're going to breathe in here for roughly the count of 6. And we're going to breathe out for the count of 6. And you can just count in your own head. And if you find you want to do 7 and 7 or 5 and 5, whatever your lung capacity is, that's absolutely fine. But try and take in a nice, long, slow, deep breath, and then a nice, long, slow exhale. And the 6 and 6 can work really well. Just keep it the same. Breathing in, breathing out. Just keep going with that for a minute or so. Just time you. Let your whole body start to rest down onto the mat. And just stay connected with that breath. Just a couple more rounds. And then let that breathing practice go. Just start to allow your body to breathe completely naturally, observing the tummy rising and falling, and just observing the sensation of the breath. Being grateful for that life force. Feeling your body do this thing called breathing. Feeling your body do it all by itself. And from that place of observation, starting to just have a sense of your sensations in and around your body. We're going to start with the crown of the head. So what do you feel all around the top of your head, kind of above your head? Can you visualize the crown of your head fully open, like a funnel, receiving instruction and inspiration, positive energy, inner guidance? And then moving down through the head, just softening the forehead and the eyebrows and all around the eyes. Feeling the eyes sink in towards the back of the head. Softening the cheekbones and the jaw, so the teeth are slightly apart. Feeling the whole face completely relaxed. And almost as we move through the body and scan through, noticing what's arising, noticing what's there, and also imagine or feel that you're allowing a warm or cool wave of energy to move all the way down, cleansing, healing your whole being. So moving from the crown of the head down through the back of the head, the sides and the face, into the throat and the neck. You might notice colours or sensations. Just breathing in and out of the neck, feeling spaciousness and clarity. Helpful for our communications. And remembering that that can be not only the words we say, but the thoughts we think. How powerful that is. That leads on to beliefs. That leads on to action. and it shapes our life and who we are. So clarity and integrity around the thoughts we think, the words we say, and the actions we take. And then moving that warm or cool energy down into the shoulders, all the way down the arms, through the elbows, through the wrists, to the fingertips. What sensations do you feel on the tips of the fingers, the palms of the hands? And then sending that energy down from the neck down through the torso, feeling the front of the torso around the heart, expansive and open, around the solar plexus, clear, ready to guide you, ready to give you a grating feeling if something isn't aligning with you, if something doesn't feel right, or being really clear when something is in alignment with you. Feeling the belly rising and falling. Feeling the whole length of the spine and the back of the body. And feeling into all the organs inside the torso. Breathing organs, circulatory organs, digestive organs, reproductive organs, and just sending them all a little bit of love, a bit of gratitude for working really well all the time, cleansing our bodies. They either function or they're in a state of repairing and healing, and when we rest, all the cells get to repair and heal. So just sending them a little bit of extra sparkle, a bit of extra appreciation for how well they do all the time. And then moving down into the pelvis, feeling the whole bowl of the pelvis, the space between the hips, the sacrum resting, rooted and grounded on the earth. Sending that warm or cool healing energy down through the pelvis, into the thighs. Feeling the heavy muscles hugging the heavy bones and allowing the thighs to completely relax. Moving your warm and cool energy down into the knees. Sending your knees a little smile. They too work hard for us. Down into the shins and the calves. Down into the ankles and the feet, feeling the tops of the feet and the soles of the feet. And then down into all 10 toes. Feeling our feet, feeling our foundations. Using your visualization to ground your feet, maybe with roots or ribbons or ropes, but grounding your feet into the earth. So sending some imaginary roots or lines down through the building you're in, deep into the earth, past all the different layers of rock. Feel the smell of the earth, potential, home. And then just really tie your roots or your ropes, however you visualize it is fine, to any gigantic strong rock deep in the center of the earth. And upon it write your name, maybe on a tag or on the roots, and today's date, Sunday the 6th of September 2020. Anchoring yourself into the here and the now. Being present. And then noticing that lovely feeling of Mother Earth energy. Maybe it's got a colour or a smell or a message for you. Saying thank you to Mother Earth energy and drawing that with you up through your roots. Loving, being held, Mother Earth energy, supporting us, keeping us stable, drawing it all the way up through our roots, through our feet, up through our legs, all the way up through our body to our hearts. As our hearts beat, feeling that move down to our fingertips and the crown of our head, touching every single cell, then radiating beyond our physical body into the energetic space that we take up. Feeling rooted and present, anchored in our 2020, in our 00, where we belong. Our internal compass is back home. Then allowing your awareness just to settle on the soft skin that goes across your forehead. Just notice that sensation. Just allow your whole body to completely relax, drifting in between wake and sleep. Noticing the sensation of skin across your forehead. And then taking a lovely big breath into your whole body. Feel that vibration and vitality, that life force in your whole body. Take another deep breath in. And with your eyes closed, just curl up onto your side for a moment and rest there. And as you rest on your side, just feel your body on the ground, the support from the ground. Take another big, revitalizing breath in. Notice the sounds around you, the space you're in or outside. Start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. On your next inhale, just gently open the eyes, just looking nearby on the floor. Taking a moment here to see how you feel after your practice. And then when you're ready, another big inhale, pressing into your hands, pressing yourselves back up into a seated position. Really well done. When you get there, you might want to roll the shoulders, have a little wiggle, just see how you feel. And then we'll bring our hands back into heart center. Good. So just take a moment there, focusing with the thumbs on the heart, feeling that spacious and open, full of love, unconditional love for yourselves, filling yourself up for the week ahead. And to each other, we say namaste. Namaste, everybody. Namaste. Well done.